shore, he knew he would survive.
He wouldn't give up, though others might. He believed in himself when he thought he was right. This brave sailor was Christopher Columbus.
I grew up in Italy. My father was a weaver of cloth. He wanted me to be a weaver too, but I dreamed of being a sailor. Finally, my father agreed.
Now, Christopher Columbus was in the cold ocean water, but he wouldn't give up.
Swimming and floating, working and resting.
Swimming and floating, working and resting.
He did make it safely to shore. He landed in Portugal. This was lucky for Columbus. His brother lived there.
I own a map store. I will give Columbus a job making maps.
Columbus talked with sailors who came to the store. He read about explorers like Marco Polo.
I have traveled east from Italy on land. I have gone to wonderful faraway places. These places are called the Indies.
People were thrilled by the riches Marco Polo brought back.
Silk and spices, jewels and gold.
Wonderful things for all to behold.
I want those things too.
Columbus began making a plan to travel to the Indies. He thought about the shape of the earth.
The earth is round, this much I know. Would sailing west be the way to go?
Columbus decided not to go east over land. He would sail west over the ocean.
But Columbus had some big problems. Most people thought the ocean was too wide to cross.
It cannot be done.
No, no, no! Impossible! The sea is too wide and unknown. They will never come back.
Also, sailing west to the Indies would be expensive. Columbus did not have enough money.
I will ask the King of Portugal for help.
First, Columbus explained his plan to the king. Then, he asked for ships and money.
Ships and money for a plan that sounds funny. Hundreds of ships and a whole lot of money for your plan that sounds funny. No!
Columbus was sad. He was disappointed, but he wouldn't give up, though others might. He believed in himself when he thought he was right.
I will go to see the King and Queen of Spain.
What do you have in mind?
Say it. Our time is precious.
The king and queen listened to Columbus. Then they asked a committee to study his plan.
Time is what the committee needs.
Patience. Patience.
Over and over, meeting and talking. Over and over, meeting and talking.
After 4 years, the committee made up their mind.
No, it's a waste of time and money.
It's a silly idea. Waste! Waste!
Poor Columbus. He was very disappointed, but
He wouldn't give up, though others might.
He believed in himself when he thought he was right.
I'll go back to see the King and Queen of Spain.
The king and queen again listened to Columbus. He told them about his dreams of riches.
Silks and spices, jewels and gold. Wonderful things for all to behold.
Columbus tried to convince them. But once again,
No!
no!
Next, I'll visit the King of France.
He was on his way when a messenger caught up with him. Please come back. Do be so kind. The Queen of Spain has changed her mind.
It was a happy day for Columbus. The king and queen of Spain signed an agreement with Columbus.
I promise to bring you things from the Indies.
Riches and gold and information.
Fame and fortune for the nation.
The king and queen gave Columbus supplies. They also gave him 3 ships.
The Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria.
I'll sail on the Santa Maria. It is the largest.
On August 3, 1492, Columbus set sail. He headed west across the ocean.
The earth is round, this much I know, and sailing west is the best way to go.
Columbus kept track of days, directions, and distances. His ships sailed farther and farther away from Spain. His sailors grew angry and worried.
Tossing and rolling over the waves, sun and storm, and endless days. A month dragged by with no sight of land. The sailors were scared and ready to give up.
Time to go home!
Give me more 3 days.
He wouldn't give up, though others might.
He believed in himself when he thought he was right.
They kept sailing. 2 days later, they saw birds. Columbus changed directions to follow the birds. He hoped they would lead him to land.
Flying high in the sky, sailing low on the ocean, the birds and the ships together in motion. Columbus kept watch until late that night. Finally, they saw land. The time was 2 hours after midnight. The date was October 12, 1492. 500 years later, we still celebrate the day.
Columbus thought he had found the Indies. In fact, he had found islands near 2 continents he didn't know were there. Today, we call these continents North and South America.
Columbus and his sailors went ashore. The native people welcomed them. They spoke to each other using sign language.
I will call these native people Indians, because we have reached the Indies.
The native people gave them delicious food. They also showed the sailors how to make hammocks. But Columbus wanted more than hammocks. He wanted riches.
Silks and spices, jewels and gold.
Wonderful things for all to behold.
Columbus and his sailors visited other islands. Along the way, Columbus collected things to take home.
Wonderful stories and wonderful things like parrots, sweet potatoes, and golden rings.
He didn't bring home the Santa Maria. It wrecked on coral reef and broke into pieces. After 6 months away, Columbus returned to Spain. He brought some native people with him. He was welcomed as a great hero. Columbus was very happy.
He didn't give up when others might. He believed in himself when he thought he was right.
We will send Columbus on more voyages to the west.
Columbus never found a path to the Indies. All he found was trouble.
Angry natives, stormy seas,
Greedy sailors and disease.
By now, Columbus was tired and sick. In 1504, Columbus returned to Spain for the last time. He was no longer a hero, but Columbus knew that he had done something very important. He had sailed across a great ocean when others said it couldn't be done.
Later, millions of people would follow his example and travel west to the Americas. Today, Christopher Columbus is a famous man. We can learn about courage from Columbus.
We won't give up, though